Prem Podar, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of newly established Darjeeling Hills University, Dr. Anurag Rai, the Principal of Southfield College, esteemed guests who are present here from different parts of this region, students, faculty members of this college and a few other colleges. And I just see some of my old friends also have arrived, probably to give me moral support. And also to Professor Podar, because whoever is a friend of mine is also a friend of Professor Podar. I first of all thank them for inviting me to deliver the inaugural address of Darjeeling Hills University. I am really thankful to them, to both Dr. Rai and Professor Podar. It's a great honor. It's also a great pleasure to be here for the third time. The first time I came here was sometimes in 1980s, early 1980s, when I was raising fund for missionaries of charity by selling Mother Teresa stamps. I came and met Mother Damien, and I think she took me around to some classes, I remember, and I sold stamps worth about 1,300 or so at that point of time. And the money collected, the total amount of money I collected finally was about 6,000 from this district, and I sent them back to missionaries of charity. I did this without being a Christian. I didn't know at that point of time that I would finally marry a Christian wife. But no, that's history. Yesterday, अंग्रेजीमा बोल्दै कहीं ब्रिटिश एक्सेन्ट या स्क्यान्डिनेभियन एक्सेन्ट पसेको जस्तो लाग्यो भने त्यसको श्रेय होस् या दोष प्रोफेसर पोदारलाई नै जान्छ होला, किनकि म त बस्तीबाट आएको मान्छे हो, अलिअलि अंग्रेजी सिकेको प्रोफेसर पोदारबाट नै हो। त्यसकारण अंग्रेजीमा उहाँको अगाडि बोल्न हिचकिच भइरहेको थियो। नेपालीमा बोलौँ कि भनेर धेरै सोचेँ, तर उहाँको नेपाली पनि मेरो भन्दा राम्रो भएकोले गर्दा जसोतसो अंग्रेजीमै बोल्ने भन्ठाने। धेरै साल पहाडदेखि बाहिर बसेकोले गर्दाखेरि सिलगढीमा 13 वर्ष बस्दाखेरि बङ्गला बेसी सिक्यो, बङ्गलामा लेख्न पढ्न पनि सिक्यो, झन्डै नेपालीमा लेख्न पढ्न बिर्सेँ। त्यहाँदेखि झन्डै 31 वर्ष खासी जातिहरूसँग विशेष बस्दाखेरि खासी घ्यासा नेपाली, तपाईँ जो बङ्गाली हुनुहुन्छ बुझ्नु होला, खासी घ्यासा नेपाली अलिक सिक्नै पऱ्यो। त्यस्तै खालको नेपाली बोल्नु परेकोले गर्दाखेरि नेपालीमा पनि मेरो त्यति कन्फिडेन्स छैन। सिक्किममा 5 वर्ष रहेकोले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ जति नेपाली मेरो आज बोल्न सक्छु मेरो सिक्किम युनिभर्सिटीको 5 सालको देन हो। त्यति बेला धेरै मेरो फेरि प्रसव भयो, सानोतिनो भाषण पनि नेपालीमा दिन सक्ने भएँ र त्यो सबको लागि पनि म सिक्किम युनिभर्सिटीलाई धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। तपाईहरुले प्राय सोच्नुहुन्छ होला, सुन्नु भएको होला ब्रिटिश एक्सेन्ट र अमेरिकन एक्सेन्टको बारेमा, तर आज संसारमा धेरै खालका एक्सेन्टहरू छन्। स्क्यान्डिनेभियन एक्सेन्ट, साउथ इस्ट एसियन एक्सेन्ट, इन्डियन एक्सेन्ट पनि तपाईहरुले सुन्नु भएको होला, विशेष गरेर हिन्दी मिश्रित एक्सेन्ट। अफ्रिकन एक्सेन्ट पनि बारेमा पनि धेरै लेखिएको छ र आज नेपाली एक्सेन्ट पनि हामीले त्यसमा जोड्न सक्छौं होला। जोड्न सक्दैनौं जस्तो लाग्दैन मलाई, जोड्न कसले रोक्ने हो र, हैन? हामी माथि नै छ त्यो चाहिँ। र फेरि अब अंग्रेजीपट्टि नै लागौं, किनभने यहाँ उपस्थित कतिले अंग्रेजीमै भाषण दिन्छन् कि भनेर सोचेको होला र great scholars of the world have spoken a lot, have written a lot on what a university is. I don't want to go into that discourse. I will make my presentation very simple and down to earth by talking about the challenges that a university faces on day-to-day basis. And I'm not really going to talk about all those high-flown ideals, etc. So this is something that I'm going to speak on the basis of my personal experience, but also on the basis of my little study on universities. First, let me talk about the types of universities that we have in India and across the world. Actually, there are first central universities, of which I was the second vice chancellor in Sikkim. Central universities are centrally funded universities, that's all. And examples are Sikkim University, Viswabharati in West Bengal, etc. State universities are state funded. So we have North Bengal University at the nearest, Calcutta University, and now Darjeeling Hills University. We have private universities like OP Jindal Global University, Shiv Nadar University, etc., where salaries are decided by the owner of those universities, and they're pretty well paid. And we have minority universities like Don Bosco University, Jamia Millia Islamia in Delhi, etc., etc. There's one university in Delhi called South Asian University, which is little out of this pattern. So I don't know where to put this university. It's funded by SAARC countries, and the salaries used, and it's all tax-free. In most universities abroad, in Western universities, UG and PG are taught together. Once someone leaves the school, then joins the university. Whereas in our system, usually we first go to college, after we finish college, and then we go to university. Where UG and PG education is kind of disaggregated. Now, there is also sometimes confusion in communication. In our system, we say UG and PG. The postgraduate system, this word is not really common in the Western universities, is undergraduate and graduate. We also have universities called full-fledged universities and deemed to be universities. There's of course some debate about whether it should be called deemed to be universities or deemed universities, but that's immaterial. The deemed to be universities, this is the expression I'm using, are usually very expensive. They're well funded. Resource facilities are pretty good, and they rank pretty well in the national ranking framework. Example is the Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Bombay. A lot of people know about it. A lot of our students go there to study. And this, as we call it shortly, is deemed to be university. In every respect, deemed to be universities and full-fledged universities are same, except the fact that deemed to be university's degree is not acceptable outside the country. That's the only disadvantage of taking a course in deemed to be university. Otherwise, everything is common, everything is same, all universities are same, and all universities have two things. One is vision and another is mission. Vision is about what a university wants to be, finally, like Professor Poddar was explicating this idea to some extent. It's about aspirations of a university. It's about why DHU, like why why Darjeeling Hills University. Whereas mission is about how. How is the university planning or contemplating to fulfill those ambitions, those aspirations, these goals, and what time frame? Okay, mission is always time bound. So we want to fulfill our objectives, goals, to become +1 of world-class university in 20 years or 15 years. To have that kind of statement is a mission statement. Now, with these few kind of remarks on the various kinds of universities that we have in the country and abroad, let me talk about the challenges. The topic of my presentation this afternoon on. When I'm talking about challenges, I would obviously talk about solutions as well, whenever it's possible. Where I have no solution, I leave it to you to find a solution. In future, I suppose I can find a better solution. Fun is, I think Dr. Rai also mentioned about it, fun is one of the biggest challenges of our university, more so for state university. Because state universities are fund deficit in most cases, fund starved in most cases, or revenue starved in most cases. And it's not temporary kind of a problem. It's almost a kind of eternal problem. It doesn't mean that central universities are very well funded. In fact, many central universities are today facing fund crunch. And they're facing problems of even basic minimum maintenance of the campus, etc. But state universities are known for fund starvation. Whether this is an artificial situation or real situation, we don't really know, because I've never worked in a state university except for a brief period when I was a lecturer at University of North Bengal. I know that in state universities, the fund is not just about planned money, which is for building infrastructure, etc., but also for non-planned money, which is recurring expenses. You know that there are many state universities which have not yet implemented the 7th Finance Commission recommendations. They are still in the 5th Finance Commission stage. And whereas the state central universities pay about 38% as DA, state universities are still hovering around 3 or 4 in most states of India. So these are some real issues that state universities have to face, and therefore I don't want the people who are involved with DHU to be much hopeful about money. Now, if you want to have a decent, I'm not talking about world class, because it's difficult to define what a world class university is, but if you want to have a decent university, to establish basic infrastructure, you need about 500 crores. Where will that money come from? How will that money come from? Nobody really knows. But an effort can be made by first having a full-fledged blueprint of the university, unit-wise. Okay, for building A, this much money will be involved for construction. For building 2, this much money will be involved. And for why this much money will be involved. If you have this kind of a blueprint, university can approach the state government for funding, and also the University Grants Commission. University Grants Commission, of course, only after 12B is granted to the university, not before that. Just because DHU is a state university will not automatically get these funds. You have to struggle. You have to prepare the blueprints and then mobilize people. Now, other possible sources of income which the government wants the university to explore, and not just in state universities but also in the central universities. One is academic fees. And I would like to say that I think if you have an opportunity to first have a benchmark, to start with high academic fees as far as possible. But make provisions for poor and meritorious students to fund their education. If you just charge high academic fees and do not make any provision for the poor students, meritorious students, I think it's being inhuman. And the universities are supposed to make humans human. And if you don't do that, then we are not making them human. Second is philanthropists. It's difficult to come across philanthropists in India. There are not many Tatas and Birlas. The reason is we save for our children, we save for our grandchildren, and we save for next 3 generations, 4 generations, etc. We never think of sharing our property, our wealth with the society. That is something very, very weak kind of dimension of Indian society. But we will not, therefore, we may not get good, big donors who will give you a whole building, but we may get donors who will fund your one classroom, one library room, one hostel block, etc. Small donors are possible to get, and we can always name those blocks after the donors, or donors' parents, donors' mother, father, whosoever it is. Even library can be built with donated books, with stolen books also. As you know, I came to know when I was in Heidelberg University that the university has, at that point of time, 37 lakh copies of books, 37 lakh books, not copies, but 37 lakh individual books. Imagine how many, Northeastern Hill University is one of the richest, has one of the richest libraries, and still we had only 3 lakh books. But Heidelberg has 37 plus lakh books, and the university library started with 120 books stolen by somebody. A thief contributed the first 120 books to the library. So that kind of a thing can be done. I think in Sikkim University, those of you who have come from Sikkim would remember that I used my social capital to get some books donated. We have a special collection of on Sikkim donated by Professor H.C. Sinha, and some books were donated by my predecessor, Professor Mahendra Lama. I also donated whatever books I got while in Sikkim. So that kind of effort can also be made for building libraries. Alumni is the third source of income, but for the university. But since where the university is still virtual, it's difficult to expect this to happen. But a system can be established and started, where through which the alumni can be traced through Facebook, through Instagram, or whatever it is. Now, the other challenge is to get about 300 acres of land for building the university campus. There is no sacrosanct, this is not a sacrosanct figure that we must have 300 acres of land. But having worked in Sikkim University for 5 years, I'm aware of this fact that for any construction, we need to do contour mapping. You have to start with contour mapping. And hill areas being what they are, we will not get areas for construction for more than 30% or 31%. 1/3 at the most will be the area where something can be erected. And the remaining 66% or so will be wasted if they are not planned for something better. That's why I'm talking about 100 acres, and 100 acres is a kind of a minimum requirement. If you want the university to have some sporting facilities, at least a cricket ground or football ground, and some sporting facilities, or some interactive spaces for students, which is extremely important. So, next is, I'm talking about infrastructure because infrastructure is extremely important for any university, and Dr. Rai also mentioned about it in her address. Why is that infrastructure important? It's like the face of a person. The most visible and the most expressive part of a person is the face. Infrastructure is like the face of a person. And people come and see the face. People see the face. They don't see the heart. They don't see what kind of a person you are, but they see your face and then very often judge you, whether you're a good person or a bad person. This is also true of the infrastructure of a university. By seeing the infrastructure, many students get attracted to take admission or get distracted not to take admission. And the same is the case about faculty members for joining the university. So infrastructure is extremely important, and I know of universities where in certain departments they are very, very poorly equipped faculty strength, but Their students are going there to study and paying 23 lakhs of rupees per annum, 25 lakhs of rupees per annum, without getting quality faculty members. Very young, just returned from abroad, but very young and inexperienced faculty members are teaching there, and the students are paying that high amount every year. And it seems today that many parents can afford that. I think our parents are becoming richer and richer. Now, for a good infrastructure, what you need to do is the challenge is to make a futuristic plan. First is, of course, the contour mapping, that you have to hire specialists to do that, and that's not really a very expensive thing. The second is, of course, you have to also go for geotechnical tests. You have to see whether the particular piece of land can hold a 4-storied building, a 5-storied building, or 6-storied building or not. That needs to be ascertained through geotechnical test. You need to also secure the campus with boundary walls, otherwise there will be trespassers. Trespassers and also people taking over your land, which happened. You don't know that Hyderabad University had about 4,000 acres of land, out of which Chandrababu Naidu, when he was the chief minister, took away 1,000 acres of land, and another about 500 acres of land have been encroached from all directions by local people. So that, and Biswabharati also, I'm not talking about Amartya Sen, but this land, Biswabharati University land, has been also encroached hugely. So this, if you don't want that kind of eternal problem, then you have to get the boundary wall done properly. You've got to also think about a stable source of water and electricity for at least 10,000 population and laboratories. If you want to plan for the next 50 years, at least 10,000 population will be there by the end of 50 years. Provisions for rooftop water harvesting is a must today, and I don't really know why so many people build houses and they have no water harvesting system. Solar paneling for electricity is also possible. In fact, if you panel all the rooftops, you can produce enough electricity for the university campus. You can be grid free completely. If you have about 40 acres of land covered with solar paneling, then you can produce 1.2 megawatt of electricity, which is enough for a university for 50 years. For consumption, even at the peak consumption, this electricity is enough. Now, nowadays, we don't, whether Mampo gets a lot of sunshine or not, I don't know. But you don't really need bright sunshine today. Even dim kind of sunshine, or without bright sunshine, is also possible to tap the solar power. Like the technology has improved so much that even when there is no sunshine, you can trap solar energy, and also you get nowadays panels which move along with the direction of the sun. So to maximize the solar energy. So there are a lot of other things, but also it's important to have proximity of certain buildings for maximizing efficiency of the use of those buildings, as well as use of the skills of other people who occupy those buildings. And here I must say that faculty buildings, the administrative buildings, and the classrooms got to be within walkable distance, within 2-3 minutes walkable distance, and to get a flat plot of land for housing all those buildings is extremely difficult, and it's a very, very big challenge. Now, classroom building is another challenge nowadays. Classroom planning, it requires a whole lot of vision now. And with the new education policy coming, there will be what is called ability enhancing courses. There will be generic electives. And all these provisions under new education policy cannot be implemented if you do not have classrooms of different sizes. You have to have classrooms 25-seater, 50-seater, 100-seater, 200-seater. You need classrooms of different sizes. Only can you really implement the new education policy in letter and spirit. Now, you have to think about lighting, from which side the light is coming, whether there's enough natural light or not. You have to also think about soundproofing. Here, when I'm talking about soundproofing, I recall the Kalimpong College where I studied. Kalimpong College, the college where I studied was established in a wool godown. And the walls in most places were made of gunny bags. So when I sat in one classroom, I got the benefit of the lecture in the other classroom as well. So if I was bored with my class, I could listen to the lectures on the other class. It was almost like buy one, get one free kind of a situation there. And we studied under that kind of a situation. But nowadays, I think modern universities, we didn't have any complaints about that. We made use of those gunny bags also to pass on kind of messages across the classes, which is a kind of a privilege present students don't have. And of course, they have mobile phones to pass on all whatever information they want to pass on. We didn't have mobile phones, but we wrote on small sheets of paper and passed them on through the holes of those gunny bags. So that is something that we did. I also remind you all that now we need to have buildings that fulfill two things. One is, you have to remember that this is under Zone 5 of the seismic Zone 5, which means most volatile, most active seismic zone. Therefore, your buildings have to be at least at 7.5 Richter scale earthquake free. I'm not asking for 8 point on the Richter scale, because when you increase from 7.5 to 8 point Richter scale, the cost of construction of the building goes up about 25%. That's why I'm saying at least make buildings that will be earthquake free at 7.5 Richter scale. And all this, the other thing is you have to make buildings that are disabled friendly. You cannot have any building which is not disabled friendly anymore. And ramps, construction of ramps, is one of the low cost ways of doing it. And this is something you need to think about it. The next challenge is quality of faculty members. I would like to tell you that getting high quality faculty members is a big challenge. Okay, and our university is known by the reputation of faculty members. It's the faculty members that make the university. Our universities are what their faculty members are. And if you really want to get a good crop of faculty members, then you need to work hard. You need to work hard, and you need to work even harder if you want to retain them for a longer duration. Because attrition rate normally is very high nowadays, and therefore it's really important to invest time and resources to see that you get the best of faculty members. And when I say best of faculty members, I would like to remind you that the University Grants Commission has laid down certain minimum qualifications that you need to fulfill. You cannot ignore that. You cannot go below that. You cannot dilute that. But you can go above that. You can add. So, when I say good faculty members, I would like to add the following things. I would like to look for the following. One is, faculty members are good if they have good communication skills. If they cannot communicate across the classroom or with the students properly in an interesting manner, then they are not really good teachers. They also need to have up-to-date domain knowledge. Sometimes students have much better domain knowledge than the faculty members. But therefore, the faculty members also need to have good domain knowledge. Gender sensitivity is something that many faculty members do not have, particularly the male faculty members, because they all come from patriarchal societies. And they are never taught, they are never socialized for maintaining gender sensitivity. And this is one of the qualifications that we need to look into in our faculty members. And when I'm saying that gender sensitivity, it's not only about men faculty members, but also women faculty members, who also need to be equally gender sensitive. Gender equity is not the kind of, it's not something that only men are kind of soldered with or stapled with. Now, if you have faculty members who have got good domain knowledge, good communication skills, good and gender sensitive, and also we need to have one more thing, which is environmental sensitivity. We also need our faculty members to be environmentally sensitive today. We cannot have faculty members who are environmentally illiterate anymore. And once you have faculty members who fulfill most of these, I cannot expect any university to have faculty members who fulfill all these qualifications, but at least majority of these qualifications, if they fulfill, I would consider that the university has taken off. Many universities take many decades to take off. Let me tell you, Nagaland University took about 3 decades to take off because of various reasons. So to take off, a university needs to invest many on these things. Next challenge is to get quality of students. Quality of students is what actually makes also something equally important to make a university. Many top universities of the world are at the top not just because they have good infrastructure or best of infrastructure and the best of faculty members, very well paid faculty members, but also because they have the best of students. IITs, for instance, or IIMs, they get the best of students. Even JNU, out of about 60,000 applicants, they take just about 6,000. So you definitely get the best of students in the country. So it's the quality of students which makes certain institutions what they are, not just the faculty members or the infrastructure. So here I would like to say, Anitji also has arrived, so something a little sensitive, but I must tell this in my address, and I never kind of refrain from it. One of the biggest challenges is to succumb to a very popular and volatile idea that Darjeeling Hills University is for Darjeeling. Okay, once you fall into this trap, once you fall into this idea, that Darjeeling is for Darjeeling Hills, once you fall into once this idea becomes ideology, Darjeeling Hills University will no longer be a university. If Darjeeling Hills, by which I include Kalimpong Hills as well, because I'm from Kalimpong, if Darjeeling Hills become the universe of Darjeeling Hills University, it will cease to be a university from that day onwards. Universities should be institutions receiving the best of minds, best of scholars from all over the world, and best of faculty members, best of students from all over the world. And if that doesn't happen, a university is no longer a university. So I would like to make this point, and I hope the future will remember this. Now, your location. Location is another challenge for Darjeeling Hills University. Many of you know that Darjeeling, the university where it is located, or where it is supposed to be located, let's say, is at equidistance from Siliguri, Kalimpong, Darjeeling, Kurseong, etc. Besides this advantage of being at equidistance from major towns of the hill areas, it has no locational advantage, let me tell you. It will not grow until the ecosystem of university grows, until there are some hotels, there are some restaurants, until there are places where students can do photocopying. There are a lot of things required for the ecosystem of a university to grow. And for this, the local people have to come up. They have to come forward to invest some money. It may be, and this investment is not going to be a risk investment. It is going to pay dividends sooner or later. It may not be within 5 years, but it will finally give dividends. Now, this ecosystem of university, until that grows, that develops, university can really not develop at all. If the parents have to go there briefly for the day and then return to Siliguri or return to Darjeeling or elsewhere, then this university is not going to develop that ecosystem. The next challenge is engaging with the state government and University Grants Commission. University Grants Commission after you get 12B, but before that, you have to constantly engage with state government. Now, and it is there again, getting a file out, getting a sanction order from the state government or the University Grants Commission, or sanction order is always not such a big difficult thing, but getting the actual money released to the university fund is one of the biggest challenges. Now, how do we deal with this? Because senior functionaries of the university like Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Finance Officer, etc., they cannot run around pursuing these files. They cannot visit Delhi and Calcutta or Kolkata every now and then. One of the ways of handling this or taking care of this is to hire somebody as liaison officer. So one liaison officer in Delhi for UGC purposes and one liaison officer in Kolkata for state Department of Education purposes. And these liaison officers will liaise in the interest of the university. They will not only see that those files are released in time, files are dispensed, but also the files that the university sends are put in the right places. You know, sometimes the state government says that we have not received the UCs, the utilization certificates. You send it again they say that we haven't received it. You send it 3 times, sometimes you have to send 4 or 5 times. And that kind of situation will not be there if you have somebody there to take care of all this. Particularly, it's important to have someone at the UGC, because every now and then new circulars, new projects are announced by the UGC. And unless you have someone there, you very often miss out on them. And if you miss out on them, then your university may also be liable to be punished in some cases. Because University Grants Commission notification is binding on all universities within the country. Okay, but under the University Grants Commission Act, it is binding on every university in this country. And if you miss out on some of those notifications and then you do things which are against or contrary to what the UGC provisions are, then you run into serious problem. So for all this, it's better to have somebody. You can pay them honorarium. You don't have to have them on regular roles, no salaries, but some kind of honorarium can be paid to them once in a while, and the job of the university will be a lot more easier. Please don't mind, but I'm going to now talk about political interference, which is a big challenge. And of course, my experience is about Central University. Not about a state university, but I don't think the situation will be very different from what a vice chancellor faces in a central university from what a vice chancellor is going to face in a state university. Now, political interference is given, first of all. You cannot say that, well, in my time there was no political interference, or I could avoid political interference completely. That is not possible. All political bosses will interfere, even if from their point of view it's not interference. But from the point of view of the university, it's interference. But from their point of view, helping a constituency poor person, or helping someone who is a supporter, party supporter, or somebody. But from the university point of view, it is interference. But it's not only political bosses who interfere, but also the babus, the West Bengal Civil Service Commission babus, the IS officers who are also sitting there at the top. These babus also interfere in sometimes day-to-day matters of the university. Now, how do they do it? Most of them, they don't take bribe directly, but they take indirect bribes. Indirect bribes in terms of the following things. One is dazzling tea. Okay, dazzling if you arrive in a particular desk without dazzling tea, many of them will not, their faces will not brighten up. In Kolkata, in UGC Delhi, wherever it is. Now, if you can, this is not a big deal, right? Dazzling tea is not so expensive. But then they will say that some of my people are coming to Darjeeling. Kindly book a hotel or your guest house, whatever it is, for us. And then send a car or two to pick them up. So you send a car or two to pick them up, put them in your guest house or in a hotel at your cost. They will just sign and walk off. They will not make any payment. Even for the food they have eaten, the university has to bear all that expenditure, and bear not just once or twice, but again and again. And none of those visits are usually official visits. These are all personal visits. And Darjeeling being a very popular tourist area, I'm sure Professor Poddar is going to face this very, very often. And even this is not very difficult to handle. I mean, you have some resources drain out, but not really much. But more difficult to handle for a vice chancellor is when they say, give this contract to this X company. Give this job to this person. Give this post to this person. When they start dictating that, it becomes extremely, extremely difficult. Extremely difficult to handle. And of course, the Vice Chancellor has the option to resign on health grounds. The ground is always health ground. But if the Vice Chancellor has got a taste of power, because Vice Chancellor's post is also it's a center of power within the institution. If he has got a taste of power, he cannot resign. Then he'll compromise. Okay, there will be some give and take. Okay, you support my continuity by joining the party in power. Okay, and this was the advice that my wife gave me so many times, and I did not pay attention to it. And I do regret for not paying attention to this advice. I somehow stuck to my old political party called CPIM, which is nowhere in sight nowadays. I could not join any other party, and therefore I suffered. But this is one thing that certainly one of the ways this can be avoided. And now, just a few concluding words. Now, the situation that Professor Poddar is in now is not sure whether he will be there for after 3 months, he will not be there after 3 months. But if he is there here, he may face a situation which is worse than what I have described, or it may be a lot more brighter, warmer. I cannot say that. Now, what I know for sure is that BC has hardly anyone to share his pain. Okay, and wherever that pain is located, pun included here. Now, the chair leaves him lonely at the top, with no one to talk to really. He keeps talking, but talking his heart out. No one really to trust completely. everyone who comes to him, he begins to suspect after a while, why has this person come to me? What does he want from me? Ultimately, okay, and whatever I say, how will he or she interpret it finally? What will be the message back when he or she goes back to his or her place? All these things leave the Vice Chancellor totally alone at the top. And I wish Professor Poddar all the best in all these respects. I'm sure he has already got a taste of Delhi ko laddu. You know, Vice Chancellorship is compared with Delhi ko laddu. जसले खान्छ ऊ पनि पस्ताउँछ अरे, जसले खाँदैन खाएको छैन ऊ पनि पस्ताउँछ अरे, ओ म त बेसी हुन सकिनँ कहिले पनि भनेर पस्ताउँछ अरे, र जो भयो ऊ पनि पस्ताउँछ, जो खाए वो भी पस्ताए, जो नखाए वो भी पस्ताए भन्छ यसले। अब उसले दिल्लीको लड्डु राम्रोसँग खाएकै छैन अहिले, अब खाएर पस्ताउन सक्छ, नखाइ अलिअलि खाएर पनि पस्ताउन सक्छ, त्यो भिन्दै कुरो हो। तर he should not give up until he tries his best, until he tries very hard to make Darjeeling, to give a chance to Darjeeling Hills University, because he has the potential, he has got exposure, world exposure, international exposure. He is taught in some of the best universities in the world. So if he cannot deliver, who will? Is the question today. But if we all do not lend him hands, our hands, one hand, two hands, how many, if you have more hands than two, we can lend him that. And unless we do that, he will not be able to do what he intends to do, what the government of West Bengal wants him to do for making Darjeeling Hills University a reality, a dream fulfilled for the people of Darjeeling, as well as for the people of West Bengal as a whole. So with these words, thank you very much for patient hearing. I hope Anitji doesn't mind some of my statements, because I was supposed to talk about challenges of building a university. And in my understanding, some of these challenges are real. They are, and every Vice Chancellor faces those challenges. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.